we're back for part 2 of our 2023-24 NHL preseason predictions and what to look for. This time we're hitting up the Central Division, finishing up the West Side.
White males. I mean, what? West Side.
I wish you hadn't done that.
Me too.
Regrets.
Regrets. Alright, but yes, if you haven't watched part 1 of our series with the Pacific Division, please go back and check that out. This is the Central, and we are going to start off with the Stanley Cup champions 2 seasons ago, the Colorado Avalanche.
Colorado Avalanche, they lost a lot. They did add Miles Wood, which is a really good addition. Ryan Johansson, who knows what you're going to get. It may be great, it may be shit for you. It's going to be fun to find out. Jonathan Drouin will be a nice piece for him, but they lost Alex Galchenyuk, well, who didn't.
Yeah.
JT Compher is going to be a big loss for him. I don't think they realize how big of a loss that's going to be with that physical game that he brought for him. Darren Helm, Lars Eller, Josh Jacobs, Eric Johnson. Man, I hope somebody is happy that they picked him up. Ryan Merkley, a young guy in there, Evan Rodriguez, but the biggest loss, and this could be a big loss for him, Alex Newhook. Just a young, up-and-coming, projected stud.
Yeah, they lost a lot, and they also aren't getting Gabriel Landeskog back this year. He's out again with his knee injury, and at this point, you have to wonder, is he coming back at all? I think that's a legitimate question.
I think he's wondering that too, not just us.
No, I mean that's fair, but I mean,
for everybody.
I mean, we are big fans of Landeskog. We call him Land of God. He's their captain. He's their captain over Cale Makar, over McKinnon. There's a reason he's the captain, and they really missed him last year, despite still having a ton of talent. Now they lost even more talent. They brought in a couple guys that are fine. I mean, maybe they can get something out of Drouin as well. But I think this team still makes the playoffs. I think they make it with ease. I have them at 95%. You have them at 85%.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple guys marked as under the radar, but I mean, I don't know how much under the radar you get when you have Bowen Byram and Sam Girard. They do things completely differently back on the back end, which is a good thing. They're welcome on any team around the league. They're outstanding defensemen.
Yeah.
So to pair them up with Cale Makar is you're going to be looking pretty solid on your back end too. But yeah, that's all I got on Colorado here, so we might as well just move on.
Indeed.
To I don't even I still don't want to talk about this team. It just angers me. I've always been not like a huge fan of, but I've always been a fan of, and it hurts that I can't. Sometimes I have to remind myself, hey, you're not a Blackhawks fan at all. Fuck that team. Fuck that organization. Take care of your shit properly. And that's more directed towards Gary Bettman than it is them.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that they need to fix up, that happened in the past already. Fuck, it just pisses me off. But Chicago Blackhawks, they lost Anders Bjork. They lost big old Buddy Robinson. He had the goal that knocked Pittsburgh out of the playoffs and gave them a less likely chance to get Connor Bedard all in one goal. His only one of the season. Oh, fucking legend. Big fan of Buddy Robinson anyway. That went to school with Buddy. But yeah, I don't know. They brought in a lot of pieces, though, for a team that just tanked like a son of a bitch. I was saying it for a long time. Like, they were going hard for Bedard. They got Bedard. They brought in Taylor Hall. They brought in old Corey Perry. Josh Bailey, Nick Foligno, Ryan Donato all coming in. I think they're going to end up going with a captain by committee, I think is the decision that they have made to go forward with that. I think they're just kind of buying time. I think it probably would have gone to Seth Jones. I think they were just kind of buying time, like, oh yeah, but we're going to want this for Bedard, and we don't want to strip anybody of it next year, or whenever we're going to give it to him. So I think they're just kind of buying time from that. But you have them at a 15% chance. I got them at a 20% chance. Neither of us think they have a reasonable shot at making the playoffs here. Let's try to move on in the best way possible, but never forgetting fuck you, Chicago.
Indeed.
Sorry, I talked a lot during that one. I'll let you take the St. Louis Blues because, everybody was great.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of the St. Louis Blues, St. Louis, they are coming in. They bring in Malcolm Subban, Oscar Sundqvist, Kevin Hayes. I think that's going to be an underrated signing. They brought in Mackenzie McEachern. I don't know that name at all.
Mackenzie
McEachern. They lost Logan Brown, Thomas Greiss. He was just nothing for them last year. Tyrell Pick.
He retired.
He's retired. Okay. This team is weird for me. We're exactly the same on, but I think I'm weirdly higher on them than you are. But we have them both at 40% for the playoffs. For me, it comes down to, can Binnington not be a douchebag? If he's not a douchebag, he plays his game, I think they could be a playoff team. If he continues his antics, no, I think this team is not a playoff team.
It's built into who he is. It's not a choice. It is who he is. He's a fucking piece of shit that deserves nothing but to play for the fucking Boston Bruins. That should be a trade straight up to make things right in the universe. Binnington for Ullmark. Let's stop fucking around. Get it done.
Right. They do have some pretty good impact players. Colton Periaco, I think he had a bit of a down year last year, but it's really good. Braden Shen, their new captain, like him. Torrey Krug's pretty solid in the back end. They got some under the radar guys. Again, I mentioned Kevin Hayes. I think he's going to be an underrated signing for them. Sundqvist is good. Rob Thomas had a breakout year last year. Kyrou, they're still waiting for him to break out again. He had it 1 year, and he hasn't really been there since. Brandon Saad is always a good bench piece or depth piece. Buchnevich is pretty good. They have depth. They have a solid team in front of them. Again, it's going to be about. I think it comes down to Binnington.
For me, it's not Binnington. I'm really hoping he loses his job. Not only because I don't think he's good enough to keep it, but I actively am rooting against him. And really hoping, come on, Malcolm Subban, get a starting job. I've been a fan of Malcolm's for years and years and years and years. And it's too old. I think he has shown that he is, that third goaltender and can fill in very well when called on, but can't keep that consistency going. I hope this is the year for him. This team doesn't have top-end talent, but they don't have any weak spots. And have them both at a 40% chance of making it
in. Next up is Gary Bettman's love child, the Arizona Coyotes. If nepotism was a hockey club, the Arizona Coyotes. Okay, I make fun of the Arizona Coyotes, but I will be on the record saying I like what they did in the offseason. I think they got some pieces. I think they can make a run at the playoffs.
Well, yeah, they brought in Alex Galchenyuk. I mean, the guy's going to be a beast. Oh, wait, what happened? Wait.
They lost Alex Galchenyuk because of dumb shit.
They lost Alex Galchenyuk. Oh, son of a bitch. Wonder what happened there.
But they did. They brought in Jason Zucker. They brought in Sean Dursey, Nick Bukestag, Alex Kerfoot, Travis Dermott, Matt Dumba. They brought in some guys. They're actually trying this year, weirdly.
I think the biggest piece that they lost was Andrew Ladd. But that's not something that's not going to be picked up right there with Nick Bukestad, who I think Bukestad's, depending on what part of his game, is a step up in some parts, a step down in a few others, but
How did the rest
fairly
of the
comparable.
Yeah, how did the NHL let Matt Dumba go to Arizona? Like, what the hell happened there? Um, I am rooting for them to make the playoffs for one reason and one reason only. Will Gary Bettman let them have a home playoff game? They make the playoffs, they have to have a home playoff game in that arena. Holy shit. But legitimately, I only give them a 25% chance. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but if I was being bold, I would pick it as maybe even the eighth spot. I don't think this team's that bad.
I didn't go that high. I went in at 10%. Dylan Gunther, is he going to step in? Maybe. I don't think if he does, like, he's not a impact player quite yet for him, but he will be soon. Same with Lawson Krause, Connor Geeky, and Logan Cooley. All can really step it up here for them, but they're not there yet, and I can't see any direction that this team's going where they ever would be. Because anytime they kind of get like 25% of the way there, they say, fuck it, let's start over again.
Well, that's why I said in my trade watch, they could literally anyone. It's fucking Arizona. They're getting close. They're gonna trade pieces off.
Oh, they're trading pieces off? Well, that's a little bit different than what's going to be happening in Winnipeg, where we're just going to have a player strike in Winnipeg. I mean, if you look at an impact player, if they are listed here, for at least for us, as an impact player, they're not sticking with the team.
No.
Connor Hellebuck, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers. So much talk around all of them being out. Kyle Connor, come on over to Buffalo. And while I don't have an issue, I like the other three. Kyle Connor's the only one that I want for Buffalo. Again, all solid players, fan of all of them, but just bigger fan of Kyle Connor. Hellebuck, I know there's been a lot of talk with that. The big thing with that is just contract, man. I don't want a $10 million goaltender.
No. They made that trade with weird Luke DePaul, which we talked about the Canes, but they got Campari, Afalo, and Velarde. Really good trade for them in that trade. So those guys aren't quite there yet, but that's looking good for their future. It's a great way to start replenishing that stock that they're going to need, and they'll probably get some more in their trades. But you're right, this team. You talk about. I talked about before with Vancouver and dysfunction. This is another just weirdly dysfunctional organization. Do they need to fire their GM at this point? Is that the problem? I don't know what the problem is. They got rid of their coach a couple years ago. Then he goes into the Stanley Cup Final to Florida. Paul Maurice. There's something going on in this team that is toxic. And until you have a 50-50 chance to make the playoffs, they made the playoffs last year. I'm at 40-60.
I got them at a 50-50 because I think this team has the talent to be a top two in the division.
Yeah.
And they're dysfunction enough to be a bottom two in the division.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly a 50-50 to me.
Yeah. Like you said, is this going to be the first team with a single team player strike? Because holy shit.
They do have a lot of young pieces coming up. You mentioned their GM, who's been drafting well, but I don't know if it's drafting well or everyone else drafting poorly and just letting these players fall to them. Because we talked about bringing in Kupari already, but there's two players in particular that I was really wanting in Buffalo that ended up here in Winnipeg: Cole Perfetti and Brad Lambert, however you want to call it. Yeah, that's all I got on Winnipeg.
All right. Next up on our list is the Nashville Predators.
Smashville!
Spoiler alert, I am a lot higher on Nashville than you are.
Well, it's weird because I should be higher on them because they brought in Alex Galchenyuk. Oh, they got
about that. You know, they didn't bring in a lot of pieces. They brought in Luke Shen, Gustav Nyquist, Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly's a big piece for him.
That is a good piece for him. He's getting up there, but it's a good piece. I like all those for their depth. It's going to be really good for them. They didn't lose a lot. They lost Cal Foote. They lost Matt Duchene.
Cal Foote's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, for a team that's nothing but defensemen, but Cal Foote's, I think going to be a stud.
Mm.
I mean, you don't come out of Adam Foote's ball sacks not being a stud,
That is true. I think getting rid of Ryan Johansson is going to better them ultimately. But like it is always with this team, is can they produce enough on offense? Is that's always been their problem. If they could be a top half point producing or goal scoring team, this is a strong playoff team. But
well,
they never are.
They don't have the offense. I mean, you mentioned Ryan Johansson going out. Well, I mean, they still have Matt Duchene though, right? Oh, he's gone too. The two players that they're like sold their entire future to get, and were neither of them banned out for them.
Yeah.
Which I don't think either of them performed poorly, just not up to the contracts you gave them.
Yeah.
And that for me is setting expectations, and reality did not align there.
Now they are under a new GM, Barry Trotz, so it's kind of still the same old, but still. That might end up being different. They got some really strong impact players. We mentioned Ryan O'Reilly. They still have Philip Forsberg. Roman Yossi's an absolute stud back there. Yossi Saros has just nicely transitioned from Pekka Rinne, awesome goaltender. Tyson Berry's solid on the backside, especially on the offensive side. There's still talent here. I'm high on them. I'm higher than you, but I understand why you're out.
I don't think they have anything after that impact. Luke Shen's all right. Gustav Nyquist is there. I don't see enough there in that middle six to compete. Now they do have what I think is still one of the best prospects in the entire league coming up really soon with Kamel.
Yeah,
but he's not going to be an impact player for them this year. Hoping some ice time. Guryanov, it's kind of time for him if he's going to do something to start coming into.
Yeah.
But I got him at a 35. You got him at a 55. And yeah, that's where we're at with Nashville. Dal asks, you think this is the best forward group in the NHL?
I think it's the deepest forward group, but there's a bit of a difference there. I know it's almost splitting hairs, but there's really not a weak point in their forward group. They might not.
The difference there, where you're saying that it's splitting hairs, the difference is they don't have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl that are taking to the next level, but they don't really have a lot of weak spots, and guys like Robertson and Sagan and Ben just won't go away. Rupe Hintz is really coming along really well. Wyatt Johnson really started picking his game up, especially towards the end of the season. Miro Heiskanen, then you have Ottinger back in goal. Yeah, they're deep.
They are extremely a deep team. They lost to Vegas in the conference finals last year. I think they're gonna make another run this year. This is a really, really good team. I struggled with the pick for the division winner with them and Colorado, but this is a really good team.
Yeah, we got them at a 75 for me, 85 for you. There's just one piece in here that I hasn't been bad. I don't know if he's been that impact player that they thought they were going to be getting with him. This is a player for me is Dallas's version of Zemgus Girgensons, where you're gonna, if you don't keep this guy on your team, you're gonna be missing him. But people have a hard time justifying keeping him around. Me, I don't. I will fight for Gergensons all day, every day, and the same for Radek Faksa. He's a hell of a player, big body, energy guy for them.
Yep.
Just not producing the points that you were expecting to get with him moving forward, but a good player. But yeah, that's where we're at with Dallas. And we have one team left in the Central.
That's right. It's time to get a little wild in here because we got the Minnesota Wild. Whoa. This is YouTube.
Almost flashed everybody. I thought better of it.
Tell us about Minnesota.
Do I have to? Ugh. Pat Maroon coming in. It really helps out everybody around him. The guy's, very much overlooked everywhere that he goes, but he goes to winning teams and he helps make winning teams. Zhuhar Kara, I think, is a really solid under the radar type of guy there. I don't know that he's going to get the ice time that he got in Chicago, but then again, this team doesn't have a lot of depth either, so maybe.
And do you know why this team doesn't have depth?
Why?
Because for this year and next year, they lose $14.7 million on their cap hit because of the Parise and Suter buyouts.
Oh, you mean signing people for extremely long contracts at high dollar amounts when they're already 30 years old didn't pan out?
I know. Now, Ryan Suter did play well in Dallas last year. We got to give him credit. But Parise, he's basically done.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, that's still not saying let's pay these guys $50 million a year.
Now give them that, let's say $15 million to make a nice even-ish number. Now tell me how many of these guys you would sign back if you were the Minnesota Wild. Matt Dumba, John Klingberg, Gustav Nyquist, Ryan Reeves. Maybe.
If it comes down to Reeves or Maroon, I think I want Maroon.
Maroon, I agree with that. Sam
You
Steele.
have both of them, you're the only team in the league with that.
That's true. Sam Steele, Oscar Sundqvist.
Yeah.
You probably could sign 4 of those guys comfortably. But now you fucked your depth.
4, you might be able to get
all 6.
All of them.
Yeah. And now maybe I wouldn't take Klingberg back because he seems to really have fallen off a bit, but you just lost all your depth. You went for it last year. You lost in the first round. Congratulations. I still think this could be a playoff team because there's still enough there in a weak division. But yeah, you fucked your next 2 years. Now after next year, those buyouts become basically a little over $1 million. It becomes a lot more manageable. But man, that was next 2 years is gonna be rough.
You got a couple of young guys coming in, and those entry-level contracts will help them out. Matt Boldy, Marco Rossi, Brock Faber, all will make pushes.
Yeah.
Jesper Wallstedt, I don't see him being there yet, but.
And they do obviously have Kaprizov still, who's still a dynamo out there, but you have him at 35, I have him at 45. We're both not sold on the team, but again, weak division.
Yeah. So let's take a look at how we had them finishing it off. We agree with our top 2 once again. Colorado and Dallas in that order. We agree with our bottom 2 once again. We got them flipped again. I have Arizona on the bottom. You have Chicago on the bottom.
Yeah, I almost put Arizona in the 5th spot because I really want them to make the playoffs. And
once again, our middle, we have pretty much exactly flipped there as well. You have Nashville, Minnesota, Winnipeg, St. Louis. Flip that around. I have Winnipeg, St. Louis, Minnesota, Nashville.
Are we going to see a 4-4 split again, or is this going to be 5-3 for the Pacific? Because that's kind of where I'm leaning.
I think we had last year, we had a 4-4 split on both sides. This year, I have, spoiler for the East, I have a 5-3 split in both the East and the West this year. So that would put, for me, if predicting a 5-3. Who did I have in the Pacific? I would have Edmonton, Vegas, Calgary, Seattle, Vancouver to go along with Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg.
Yep. And I would have Colorado, Dallas, and Nashville. I'm torn between Minnesota and I'm drawing a blank on who I had at the 5 spot. Oh, Calgary. I think that could go either way for me, but
I like Calgary if they had a playoff against each other to make the playoffs. I'd take Calgary.
Yeah, I think right now I'd lean towards Calgary. I think that would be my official pick. It would be Calgary in the 5 spot, but the Central weakest division, I think with ease. I know. We'll talk about the Metro. The Metro has a shot at, but I think they're fine enough to not come close to them, but it's not. Central sucks.
Yeah, the Metro would be the next worst for me. I still think they're better, but the teams that are currently better, I don't know how much longer they're going to remain there. But
yes,
that's
for next time.
The next video.
Absolutely. But that will do it for our Central predictions. Predictions, no, are completely factual, not at all subjective. How the season's going to go. They gave us a script, as they've been saying in the NFL. So we're just telling you what's going to happen. Spoiler alerts all over the place.
Yep. While we disagree with each other, they're both facts.
What's to say above us? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions.
We're not. Neither of us can be wrong.
Exactly.
They're both true. We just disagree. Thank you for joining us. Until we get to the East.